Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee. Remember to use the promo code DNVR25. You'll get 25% off your entire purchase of that CBD-infused, deliciously rich, and potentially life-altering Strava Craft Coffee. I'm your host, Drew Creasman. I'm the managing editor of DNVR Rockies, and we've got the full team here together today. You know, beat writer Patrick Lyons able to hop in as we were going to have the skinny on the lowdown from this one, and we got Big Drive Spence and Makayla Perkins ready to wrap up this, let's call it, series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Obviously, look, the Colorado Rockies swept. Let's start with the bad. We can get to the Silver Linings podcast in a minute. This part should be pretty easy because this is not surprising. This is not news. It still just sucks to watch, and that is that the Colorado Rockies bullpen, Makayla, not good.
That is a nice way to phrase it. I would go as far as to say horrible, horrendous, not great, just not good. Fun fact,
yeah. How many words can we come up with?
Fun fact, the bullpen gave up 16 runs in 3 games. That's not good.
Oh my. You said fun fact at the beginning of that, didn't you?
Yeah, the bullpen is horrible. It's nothing to be excited about. Every time they go to their bullpen, I get acid reflux. It's just not an enjoyable experience at all to watch. And you basically can guarantee that when it's time to go to the bullpen, the Rockies are about to either blow a lead or lose the game.
And I think one of the problems that kind of underlines all of it is just there's not enough reliable arms there. I mean, we saw what happened to Estevez this entire week, and Bardo's closing it out, which is an issue. But even after that, the reliable guys coming out of the pen just aren't there. Kinley's okay from time to time. Almonte's okay. But Bowden and Gilbreth, to a lesser degree, Lawrence, these guys just they aren't ready to compete the way I think the Rockies would like for them to do. And maybe, we saw Bowden actually before the game. He got sent down to bring up Antonio Santos as sort of a long reliever. Maybe they'll need him this week for a spot start since Gomber won't be back. So the carousel continues to rotate round and round until they can kind of figure some things out, settle down a little bit, and get some more reliability out of the bullpen.
It's like picking your poison. Like, pick the least horrible of the options. None of it are great. Just pick which one you think is going to suck the least.
They also driving. I was going to say, they also gave up. There were 7 home runs in this series by the Brewers, and 6 of them were from the bullpen. One was from a starter. And so, it's frustrating. Today was a little more frustrating because you're close, but like Friday and yesterday when you're up and you're like, oh, they can win 2 road games in a row. No. And then they could win maybe a series if they win those 2 games on the road. No. And they end up getting swept. It's like, I'm going to petition for like them to create some sort of issue where they have to only play 7-inning doubleheaders every other day. And then maybe the Rockies have a good chance to win.
There you go. Rob Manfred could get very into that.
Yes, exactly.
Commissioner's on board.
No, that would be a decent option because they did take DeGrom to the brink, if you recall back to that doubleheader against the Mets. And let's forget about the 7-inning doubleheader in Pittsburgh. But let's just focus more on the DeGrom one. But in theory, that makes sense. And as much as you might want to say, hey, let's just stick with the starters a little bit longer, this is already a longer season now. And here we are. We're not even at the halfway point than players even experienced last year. So you have to not baby the starters because we're seeing it all around baseball. It's just a fact, and guys have been getting injured at a much higher rate, not just in the majors, but even in the minor leagues too. There's just a rash of injuries, a lot more than we have normally seen. So you've got to protect those guys, and as much as you might want to maybe send Chi back out for the 6th inning, if you send him out and it exacerbates maybe some nagging injuries that he's already had. We saw that with Gomber not too long ago. Gray needed to spell on the 10-day IL. Now you're in an even worse spot. Now you got to go down to AAA to get a starter where only one starter has an ERA under 7, and you have never heard of him before. He's good. Yeah. He's a good little prospect. Yeah, but that's a worse problem, right? As you say, let's see if we can piece together 3-4 innings in the back, because the first 5 and 6 are even harder to replace. And the Rockies have been blessed enough to get a lot of quality, from their starters, even here on the road.
Yeah, they had good starting pitching this series. If we want to jump on immediately, one silver lining podcast I will say for the bullpen was you can see the glimpses in Justin Lawrence. That's the one thing where even though he gave up the big double today, that really was the dagger, the end of the game. It ended on a pitch he threw, his worst pitch of the game. He's still getting some ugly swings out of some good hitters when he is locating. You can see, okay, if this guy tightens up, but at this point, you almost just want to see him work through anything and everything that he can, rather than trying to see if these other guys can find the strike zone.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. I think he has the most potential out of anyone in the bullpen right now. I think you're right, Drew. He just needs to work on locating his pitches a little bit better and getting more command on the ball, and he's going to be lights out. That guy can throw gas. It's crazy to watch him pitch because he has so much velo, which is so cool to see.
Yeah.
And he's got such a sidearm weird delivery that it's hard to, like, he threw a slider today that didn't get swung at, but it started probably middle of the plate, and Diaz almost didn't catch it because it broke that hard. So that is good to see. A lot of movement and a lot of velo from a guy like that is at least hopeful. It's not a bunch of guys out of the bullpen throwing 89 that are just getting waxed. Like, right. At least there's some potential there.
Yeah.
And he's actually the only reliever in the bullpen and only player in the Rocky staff that hasn't given up a home run this year. So, you got to like that. Again, smaller sample size, but he's yet to give up his first home run. I was waiting. There was a deep drive there. I was thinking, oh, well, everyone's got to give up their first, but he hasn't done it yet. And, you see his upside, and that he's going to be around for a while. He's going to get a lot of opportunities, may have an Adam Ottavino type career where, sexy stuff, but frustrating at times. But then when he's got it locked in, you go, this guy actually might be one of the better relievers in all of baseball. So this is year one. It's just a starting point, and hopefully sky's the limit for Lawrence.
Yeah. As we talked about, Bardo with a rough series, he'd been doing so well. It was tough to see there the 2-run jack that got him in game one with the Rockies up 4-2 going into the ninth, ready to win their second consecutive road game, which would be very strange considering obviously the year they've had on the road. And, just again, he'd been having a nice couple of weeks showcasing himself. Then you see that and you go, oh man, how much does that hurt his stock? How much does that just hurt where he's at? Obviously the Rockies end up losing the baseball game, but more than that, frustrating to see that one from Daniel Bard when he'd been coming off some better stuff. So as Patrick and I talked about, I think after one of his more recent outings, the sooner you can get something for him, the better, because he's probably going to be better somewhere else. And I don't know that he's got enough of it, whatever it is, to build his stock. The way maybe guys like CJ Cron or Michael Gibbons, when he gets back, they were building their stock. Bardo, man, it's
he is depreciating in value quickly.
Yeah, that's right.
And what's frustrating, we talked about it, I think on Friday's podcast, Drew, is this idea that, the Rockies sometimes have to play hardball, I think, with some of their players when they get lowballed. And sometimes the lesser of two evils is making no trade whatsoever, because if you give in, now that might set some kind of precedence. And when you really do have a stock worth trading, like a Trevor Story or John Gray or Michael Gibbons, then now that's one you can't afford to take a little bit less than you're expecting. So do we see Daniel Bard in a Rockies uniform in August? I think maybe. If he doesn't figure it out now, you can always wait to the offseason too, because you do still have him under control for next year as well, along with Carlos Estevez, another one of those guys where if they get it together at the right time or the right offer gets put on the table, you'd be hard-pressed to pass that up.
Well, let us instead then, because, again, that's the best we've got out of the bullpen. That's it, folks. That's as good as the silver linings get right now for this bullpen. But we do toast our Breck Brews on this fine Sunday afternoon to the Colorado Rockies starting pitching. Looks like Spence has got the Palisade Peach Wheat. I've got – wait, what did I get? This is the agave. Oh, I got agave wheat today. I'm off my IPAs for a minute because I had a few too many Hot Peak IPAs the other day. So that doesn't get me off the Breck Brews. That just means I go to a slightly lighter one. You go to your agave wheats. You get your 15-can samplers of Breck Brew or Seltzy at King Supers or down here at the DNVR bar. And if you become a member of the family today, you get a much bigger beer at the DNVR bar. So do that. Become a member. Get access to all the discounts on hats and shirts and all the writing that we do and all the Discord chatter that's going on, talking 24/7 about the Rockies, all the other sports, favorite movies and television, hobbies, and just what's going on in your daily life. Become a member of the family today. We'll also send you that free shirt from the DNVR locker and a free holistic stick from our friends at Holistic Wellness. Check them out, HOLISTIK wellness.com, and use promo code DNVR30 once you've got your free holistic stick to get 30% off all of their fantastic CBD products. Keep you nice and awake and alert for your, weekend Colorado Rockies sweeps. Sorry, folks. It's just how it happened. But Colorado Rockies starting pitching, putting big old smiles on our faces these days. Our smiles are brought to you by our friends at Green Mountain Dental Group, located just outside of Denver in Lakewood, 15 minutes away. They'll hook you up with a free Sonicare toothbrush when you schedule your cleaning, x-ray, and exam today. They'll treat you like family. They'll make your dentist experience as pleasant as it can possibly be, much like watching the Colorado Rockies, making it as pleasant as it can possibly be. And
on the road.
Yeah, right. At home,
it's great.
It's great.
Fantastic.
No help needed. No laughing gas from the dentist required. However, in this set, ugly as it was, frustrating as it was, easily the most fun thing, I think, from a Rockies standpoint was the return of John Gray and him getting 10 strikeouts in 5 innings, coming back, sitting on 97, looked absolutely fantastic. In the grand scheme of things, that's far more important for these Rockies than anything else I think that probably happened this weekend, as frustrating as the rest of it was. That was and this is the best, most consistent year we've seen from John Gray. That was the best we've seen him all year.
Yeah, he looks phenomenal. I mean, although he only pitched 5 innings, he didn't give up any runs, 10 strikeouts, which is awesome. And he only had 5 hits. So, I mean, I was stressed when he was on the injured list. Mm-hmm. I was stressed the entire time. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst possible thing that could happen for the Rockies right now. We don't need John Gray to be injured for a long time. So to watch him come back and to put up a performance like that, I felt lighter after that. I was like, okay, everything's fine. It's going to be okay. I was just really stressed about it, but I feel a lot better now. And that performance was really awesome to watch, especially after he just came off of the injured list.
Right.
Jacob DeGrom is the only pitcher who comes off the IL and looks that dominant as far as getting strikeouts and getting as many ground balls as he did as well. And that really blew the doors off of my expectations. We did a preview on Friday, and you go, a guy coming off the IL. Again, it's almost like he's 80, 85%, maybe even 90, but it's almost just like a bona fide rehab start. Like he can make that in Albuquerque, but actually the Rockies need that little bit of bump more than anything. So go ahead and do that. Work on a couple things. You're going to be on a pitch limit, whatever it is. Right. And then he goes out and to do that, 10 Ks over 5 innings, double-digit strikeouts. And
he didn't walk anybody either, which is awesome. No walks.
Were all 5 hits also ground ball singles?
They were, yeah.
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff, you're right, Patrick. We had talked about, if he comes out and he's just okay, that's fine. Not a big deal. You just need your guy back. You need him to work back into there was no working back into anything. It was just like, holy shit, that's the best we've seen him all year. It really was. So I'm excited for whatever the rest. And whichever way it goes, if Ken is right and he's upping his trade value, fantastic. If it goes the other way and he's going to stay in Colorado long-term or even just for the rest of the year, I think it's one of those two. I really do think he gets extended and stays long-term or is traded. Either way, this is great for everyone involved, for him, for the organization, for everybody. But yeah, Will saying he didn't get behind a hitter more than 2-0. Like it was, yeah.
First pitch strikes, that's key. Yeah. I mean, again, those young guys in the bullpen are learning very quickly how much a walk can hurt you, right? And just not finding the strike zone, and all of a sudden, you give up one good hit that's, barely a double. Well, that runner you walked on first base just ended up scoring a run because you gave him a free pass. So throwing strikes is huge. Getting ahead early is huge. And when Gray does it, Marquez does it it's just dominant. It's dominant performance.
Yeah. And I've been saying this all season, and I still stand by what I've been saying. I really feel like a lot of the struggles that are coming out of the bullpen, because these guys are so young, is just a hangover effect from not having a minor league season last year. And I think a lot of the things that they're struggling with now in terms of command and location were things that they could have worked on last season if there had been a minor league season. And the fact that they didn't get the opportunity, it's now like a trial by fire where they're having to work it out real time in a Major League Baseball setting. And so, it's easy to get down on them, and I'm not trying to excuse, like, they are horrible. Like, the bullpen is tragic. It is so bad. It is probably the worst Rockies collective bullpen we've ever seen.
Probably.
But I think that there's a little bit of give and take there where, you have to have a little bit of understanding, just a little bit, that so many of these guys that are so young, that are struggling so bad, probably wouldn't have been struggling as bad if they had an opportunity to work out some of their issues in minor league baseball last year, but they weren't given that opportunity. So I think you're seeing a lot of like their trial by failure, like happening now real time, which is unfortunate for them.
That's a really great point. Yeah.
I think something important to kind of piggyback off that is that it is a bunch of young pitchers. It's not like this is a bunch of 30-year-old dudes that just suck, that they're like, oh, there's never a career for them. They just are bad. They're over the hump or whatever. And it's always, if you have a bad team, it's never good when you're bad and old and like looking to offload people and looking to just we are completely rebuilding at some point, but at least these guys are pitching in major league games, because you never know. Like Patrick said earlier, Ottavino he drove us all crazy for a while, and now he was a completely coveted piece. So you just never know what you're going to get. At least these guys are young, and the same with the starters. Like, yes, that comment about Gray being traded, he could be traded, but even like all 5 of our healthy starting pitching, basically without Chi Gonzalez, are guys that could be the future of this team, even through a rebuild. It's not like we have a bunch of dudes that are close to 30, 34, 35 years old that are like, okay, we can ship them off and get someone else. These guys could go another 5-6 years and complete an entire rebuild and be a strong staff. And I think I said it the last time I was on with you guys, but I really enjoy I looked at the series preview against the Pirates, which they're going to sweep the Pirates. So I'm going to say that right now. Hot take.
Let's go.
Opening day 2.0. But like, I see Gray, I see Freeland, then Marquez, then Gray. Like, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm stoked to watch this. The first 6 to 7 innings are going to be great, and then you never know what happens after that. But I'm still like on board with watching these games, because those guys are not only pieces that can help us like not want to ourselves this season, but they also can move on with the team and go through a rebuild. They're young enough to where that's a possibility.
Think about how many pitchers in the bullpen made their debut this year: Bowden, Sheffield, Lawrence, Patrick,
Lucas Gilbert.
Like, that's at least four pitchers in the bullpen that debuted this year in Major League Baseball. So I just think a lot of like what's happening now is the hangover effect from not having a competitive minor league baseball season last year. Again, not trying to make an excuse, they're horrible, but it just sucks that they're having to work through that stuff on the biggest stage with like the most criticism possible, because like all eyes are on them. So,
and number 5 very soon could be Bernardo Flores Jr. Yeah. You're like, I don't know this name. Well, this is why you gotta subscribe and tune into DNVR Rockies. Bernardo Flores Jr. But Spence, I loved your take on it, because it's so true. And like, this is why there's so many good baseball fans in Colorado. And what makes a good baseball fan is watching even when it's frustrating or even when the team's losing, because you're investing in learning about the next guys. Even if the next guys aren't going to be superstars. Adam Ottavino was never an all-star with the Rockies, but he was an integral part of those teams in 17 and even more so in 18. And you see that and you say, hey, maybe Lawrence could be one of those guys. Who else is going to be a cog? And if for no other reason, for next year, the 2022 draft, your dude draft. Right? Yeah. You got to know. You got to get in early. Who's your dude for next year? That's
I like Robert Stevenson. I'll tell you what.
I think it's just so frustrating and also confusing, because I've also been saying this whole season that this is the best starting rotation that the Rockies have ever put together. And so it's crazy to me that
they played that way.
Yeah. And so like they have the best starting rotation that they've ever put together, and they're also really doing well at home. So if they could just figure out why they're so bad on the road, this isn't a horrible team. Like this team could be competitive if they just didn't suck on the road and that they could generate offense and then their bullpen didn't suck. Like it's just those three factors that like if they just tweaked it and could figure out why, they would be competitive. Like it would be a competitive team, but they've lost 31 games on the road. They have won 6 times this entire season. They won 6 games on the road. Like you can't be a competitive team when you only win 6 games on the road and we're almost halfway through the season. Like that is horrible. But it's just so frustrating because they finally figured out their starting rotation and then it's wasted by the worst bullpen. The best starting rotation and the worst bullpen that they've collectively had at the same time. It's just like, why?
Almost impressive, right? Yeah. No,
at least they haven't lost 24 in a row on the road, though, up until yesterday. I mean, it can be worse, you guys. It can be worse.
It could be the Diamondbacks. You're not
right?
2 teams have definitely helped out.
And I think a lot of that, what Spence and Mac are saying, those two things go together, right? And these are the kinds of pieces of the team that they need to figure out. And if they are going to build around this starting rotation, or mostly this starting rotation, that very clearly can be done.
Yeah.
Will it be done wisely? Will they accurately and competently solve the problems that Makayla, and that's where a lot of people said, no, I don't have any confidence that they're going to be able to do any of that. I think it remains to be seen because we have no idea who the next GM is going to be. But yeah, when you look out at this team like this and you go, wow, they really do, like they took that 4-2 lead into the 9th. They took a 4-3 lead into the 7th against this team that's supposed to be clearly far and away better than them. In fact, they're supposed to win the National League Central, according to a lot of people, and they still might. They very easily can. And here are the Rockies, who are terrible on the road, terrible in general, in their house, outplaying them through the first 7 innings of the first 2 games of those. And so you're right. It's the classic.
Maybe they have figured it out.
Yet so far away.
Yeah. Maybe they have figured some of it out too, because, when things kind of hit their nadir where it was awful. They got swept by Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, widely considered, probably the worst team in the National League, get jobbed out on a doubleheader. Well, their last road trip, same general results. They went 1-5, but the offense was a lot better. They were able to hit on the road. The pitching totally fell apart, but the hitting was there. Now on this trip, again, hitting was not there, but overall, I think they looked a lot more competitive. And I went and looked even at like run differential. And for the most part, even before coming into today, they had played 4 games and the run differential was -5. So you go, all right, so they only lost by an average of 1 run every game.
Right.
The 5-0, made it more like they lost by 2 every game. But I think overall you're seeing, much closer ball games. They're in it a little bit longer. And again, it's really one facet. It might even call it like a 3-legged stool where it's starting pitching, the offense, and the bullpen. And one of those legs is wobbly, but the other 2 are good enough where it's keeping them in these ball games, and they are looking somewhat competent.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you, Patrick. I think the hitting has improved enough to where it's not as concerning as it was at the start of the season. It's not.
You got shut out, but
it's improved gradually as the season has progressed, which is great. Like,
I mean, 2 of your starting outfielders are hitting over 300. You just had one of your outfielders had maybe the best June of any, or it's not quite over yet, but maybe the best June of any hitter in the MLB. So it's not completely lost. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with their offense. Like I can't, like, you guys probably know better than me, knowing deeper dives into numbers and stuff, but like, Trevor Story's hasn't been great this season. McMahon's been struggling a little bit lately, but then you have Daza hitting, you have Tapia hitting, you have whoever starts at second base, usually Hampson, who's fine, seems fine.
7 for 19.
Excuse me, yeah.
7 for 19.
He's
in his
been their
series.
best road hitter lately, probably.
Yeah, and he was the silver lining today. Offensively, he had a base hit in the first inning, maybe second inning, fought one off to right field, then hit an absolute rocket that was just straight at someone, hit another line drive straight at someone, and then somehow the last out of the game, I don't know if he was going slow. Like, I feel like he should have beat that out, but when you're down 5-0 and it's the last out, I guess I get it. But yeah, he's one of my favorite bright spots of the season, and the fact that everybody wrote him off. And if he's our starting second baseman for the next 10 years, that's another win in the draft, just like John Gray, 3rd overall. Everybody's like, oh, he can't pitch. He's not an ace, blah, blah, blah. And now we got 2 players that look like they can play in the MLB. So
I'm so happy you brought this up, Spencer, because I really wanted to talk about this. The people that I have in the running for the most pleasant surprises so far this season, because I think there are like still good things about this team that you can look at and be like, well, that's actually, that was a pleasant surprise. And I think, I have 4 players in my running for the nicest surprise so far. Yeah. And that's Brendan Rodgers, Jonathan Daza, Austin Gomber, and Chi Gonzalez, who also is our king of the game, by the way.
Yes.
Which is great because I really did not expect Chi to be in this position. Obviously, he started today, 5 innings pitched, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, only 1 home run. So he did a great job for what he has been asked to do. I've been, again, saying this all season. Nobody thought Chi was going to be a starting pitcher this year. We all had a pretty solid idea of who the 5 rotation pitchers were going to be, and he has come in and done, I think, exceeded expectations, to be quite honest. He has been such a pleasant surprise for the Rockies this year. He has been a super solid 5th guy in that rotation, which is awesome to see. But I think him, Austin Gomber especially, Jonathan Daza, who is another guy no one ever expected to make this roster. Everyone thought he was going to get DFA during spring training. And then Brendan Rodgers, who has done an incredible job coming out of an injury and really providing value offensively to a team that was struggling in that area. So those are my guys, and then they're impressive. I'm impressed with them so far.
Cue that. We need a graphic. Pleasant surprises. That's it. We got to get that going. And with Chi too, with him doing it, he's doing it at a moment's notice, right? Yeah. John Gray, Marquez, Freeland, Senzatela, they all know when they're going. It's on the calendar. It's circled. They know when their throw day is. They know when they're resting. They know when they do a little sightseeing and walk around town before the game, come in right before first pitch, whatever it may be. Whereas Chi, he's just kind of waiting, like, we may actually need you tomorrow night if something goes wrong. So be on call. We may need you to be a long reliever, or Friday you're going to start, or you're just going to sit around and not do anything. Yeah. And out of nowhere, you're going to start your first game in like a week. So which is a huge important to have.
That's a huge ask for a pitcher, because so much of being a pitcher is mental and getting into a routine and getting comfortable in that routine and having your set go-to things that you do on every day of the week, because when you're supposed to know when you're going. Yeah. So asking a pitcher to do that the way that they've asked Chi to step up in that way is monumental, because so much of baseball is also mental. Like, baseball is an extremely skillful sport, but a lot of that has to do with like the mental part of it, especially for pitchers. So the way that Chi has delivered for this team, oh my gosh, he deserves some type of award. I hope they do team awards at the end of the year and he gets one.
He's the delivery man. That's his nickname, man. He should be the delivery man.
Go ahead, Spence.
Do you think Chi moves to the bullpen if we ever get a fully healthy 5 and can be somebody that gives you 2 to 3 innings, where it's like, I know it's not traditional, but we don't have a traditional bullpen. So like, he comes in maybe
would be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Like somebody in the 6th inning that gives you the end of the 6th, gives you 2 outs in the 6th, maybe the 7th, and maybe starts the 8th, depending upon it's something like that. I feel like if we ever get all 5 guys healthy and starting, like that's an option I feel like they have to go with, or at least give him, he's not an 8th inning guy, he's not that, but something that he can give you a few innings in the bullpen and not give up 6 runs. And especially when they're at Coors and they're going to have some leads, like they're going to win more games at Coors. They're just going to keep doing it. He can be a guy that kind of stems that tide and maybe gets to a 9th inning.
Yeah, he doesn't have any more options. So, that's certainly something that can't happen. You would rather have him on the roster than turning around and just trading him and say, hey man, we got so much depth, because you get all 5 starters back healthy. Okay. They're healthy now. Right. It's going to happen in a month from now. So he kind of maybe even takes over the role that Jhoulys Chacín has. And maybe Chacín is the guy that, you see what happens. Does he get DFA? Does he stick around, maybe pitch down to Albuquerque and try to give some stability to that rotation down there? But yeah, Chi, you're going to find a spot for him and figure it out for when the next pitcher or the next starter goes down, because it's so incredibly hard to keep a full rotation together and healthy. And the Rockies were able to do that. Was it 2017? where they were incredibly healthy, and that's a rarity. So
Yeah.
you need him on the roster. You'll figure it out. That's a good problem to have, right? 6 starters and only 5 spots, essentially.
And I think therein lies the answer to some of their bullpen woes, is that if they can get all these starting pitchers healthy at the same time and use Chi as a middle innings longer reliever type of guy, that takes a lot of the scariness of having to go to some of these younger guys out of the equation. And, maybe they don't blow leads like they did during this Milwaukee series, because they finally have that guy that is more dependable in the bullpen. And then hopefully you can just get a guy to not mess up the 9th inning.
Get outs, man. Find a way to get 3 outs. Like it sounds so simple, but it can be absolutely brutal for some of these guys. And even in the long term, I've thought more of that. I've always thought, if Ryan Rollison comes up and it turns out he can really pitch and he's ready to go by the end of this year or next year, that you don't start moving these starters, you start pushing the ones who make sense into the bullpen, and exactly the way you were talking about, Spence. I've always thought Senzatela would be the next guy on that list, especially if he doesn't lock it in quite the way I thought he could have this year. He's been fine. He's been good. He's been okay. But if he doesn't have it in him to take that next step and be a decently above average sort of number 4, number 3 that you can rely on, I think he's a guy you can move into the bullpen, tell him to max out, throw it at 98, 99, use his off speed, which isn't great, but use it whenever so you can keep guys off your fastball, get the most out of him. So
I agree. I 100% agree.
So you said Senzatela, you'd want to go to the bullpen?
Yeah. Yeah, Senzatela in the future, I think, is a guy who could slot in very nicely into the bullpen. I mean, people have talked about John Gray as a reliever for a long time because he was a fastball slider guy, but Senzatela was always the guy I marked for that.
Yeah, I agree.
And what we really could see is Chi as a 6th starter. And, we've seen some teams tinker with it. The Brewers had 6 starters for a minute. I know Seattle wanted to start the season doing that because, again, there wasn't a full season last year. And so guys are going to maybe start breaking down a little bit more. And if they're all healthy, give them that one extra day. And, and again, next year things will go back to normal, but you have to build up that mileage. You have to build up that ability to throw close to 200 innings. And guys last year didn't even break 100. So you just might need that 6th guy, especially in some of the dog days of summer when you're not really having too many off days. So that could even potentially be an option for Gonzalez.
Yeah. All right. There was one question, because whenever Spence comes on, and everyone's got to make sure you're following DNVR Golf, Big Drive Spence, Big Drive Mitch, make sure you're following them. I always got to ask you a mechanical question. Have you ever swung the golf club, fallen over backwards, and then realized you just split the fairway with a perfect shot? Because Trevor Story hit a home run in this series. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Incredible. I had the sound down, so I think Drew got pretty excited right away, so he can kind of tell. But I had the sound down, and I saw him hit it, and I was like, it's a pop fly to center. I was like, and then I got up. I was like, oh, that's getting out, and I was like, how did he do that? He just I saw Trevor to the Brewers, blah blah blah. I don't want to think about it, but he owns that stadium, and he's really good there.
Yeah. But that was Patrick. Have you seen anything quite? We've seen Trevor himself fall to his butt.
I mean, Trevor is
he's done this once before, but that was wild. He fell backwards out of the box, looked down, I got so out of balance, and then looked up and watched the ball go 415 feet.
Yeah, I don't want to bring this up now, but it should be noted, and we're just gonna have to see the reactions that we get from our friends Makayla and Spencer. But we saw Trevor Story do this 2019 when he hit a ball 505 feet, hit 3 home runs, except Baseball Savant has since changed that home run, and it is now no longer 505 feet. It's now I think 476. So it is now no longer considered the farthest hit ball at Coors Field, even though there's a bobblehead that says 505. I don't know if that's a shout out to New Mexico and Albuquerque. I'm not sure, but Trevor Story does some crazy things like that. That just is pure athleticism. That's why for years Nolan Arenado said, no, Story's the better athlete than me. He's the better power hitter than me as well, because he's just so stocky there and compact. and so consistent with that power. And finally those balls are going out, because at one point in the season when he was still waiting for his first, it was like, hey, if he had played in Cincinnati, he'd have 8 home runs. And if he was in Tampa, he'd have 9 home runs. And you go, well, he has none. So let's stop talking about this, please. Now he's got real live home runs. He's got some real Pinocchio home runs now that we can celebrate. Even when he falls on his butt, we can celebrate it.
You'll love to see it.
It blew my mind. I gotta say, I've seen some strong boy home runs. I've seen guys hit homers on balls that bounced. I've seen guys hit homers on broken bats. I've seen Trevor Story himself hit a home run and fall on his butt. But the way he fell backwards, the science of it, I do not understand. I mean, do they still do that sports science show where they break?
I don't think so, but I loved that show. I watched the hell out of that show.
Right? Wasn't that show awesome? Like, I'd get in on that. I'd also get in on, okay, sadly, do I have to modify this now? Because Big Drive Spence, you threw out that they got a couple outfielders hitting over 300. Do I have to just let go of the streak entirely, or do I get to continue to modify this? Because Tapia did have to come into this game
over.
late.
It's
taking
over.
it back. It's done. I can't say
take a high road.
21 consecutive starts. All right, fine. The streak is over. Why'd they got to stick him in there today? It's bogus.
Come on, buddy. You're better than that. You know what we're holding on to this year. It's not the playoffs. It's things like that.
You see how pissed Tapia was when he struck out, too? He
was
about
livid.
That one at bat. You think he thought he was going to hit a 5-run home run? He knew he'd been on base in 21 consecutive games, and that broke it, and that sucks. But it is what it is. He'll start a new one coming up but as Spence said, he's been so much fun to watch. First in hits in the month of June. It's just
5th in extra base hits, and then 1st in runs scored as well.
I've always said that runs scored category was actually the most important for him, because it's hard to keep him from crossing the plate once he gets on base. You saw it in game 2, right after the tough loss. Rockies come back out. It was a minute and a half into the game. He starts it with a single, steals second base. Then Daza, who again hitting over 300, doing his contact thing. You don't need any extra base hits here at this point. Another single, Rockies have a run before some people have even settled into their seats. Like, I love that style of baseball, man.
Yeah, well, and I think, yesterday, or was it, which was the extra inning game, was Friday night. Like, I will argue this until like the end of time. Now that they start with a runner on second base, home team, road team, I don't care what it is. You get that guy over to third base unless you got a guy that's an MVP level player hitting that's like Miguel Cabrera and can't bunt. Right. You do whatever you can to get that guy over. I don't care. It's playing the odds to me it's too much to not just let a guy swing away. Even if it is Trevor Story, let him drag bunt and have first and third, nobody out. If he gets, that frustrates me, because who knows if we would have blown the lead again? Probably, but that's not the point. They didn't score a run in that 10th inning when they, because that gets your whole club back into like a good feeling. Like, you just blew a lead. Oh, we got a guy on for second base. Let's score a run and get the good feeling back that we had when we were hitting home runs in the 6th inning and thought we were going to win the game. So I'm still frustrated when I see that any game, any baseball game now, they're like, oh yeah, we got a runner on second. Let's just let this guy swing away. Oh, pop up. Oh, any of this. Just unless the guy literally can't bunt, which is not a lot of players, I would think, in the MLB, let him bunt. Just put the ball in play, or put the ball in play at the right side if it's a lefty. Just let him ground out. Yeah, that frustrates me. Yeah,
that has to be the strategy. You have to get him over. And as you said, Drew, to see Tapia get the single, steal second base, Daza gets a hit, and you go, wow, that is a recipe for success. Like, that's, as someone suggested on Twitter, swagger and dagger. Like, that's how you do it.
Is that Phillies thing?
I think so.
Okay.
And it's just 1-0 like that. The only thing is, I don't think that's a recipe that can be replicated too often, only because, Tapia's ability to steal bases, that can't become like the hugest part. Yeah, he can do it, but it can't be single Tapia. You've got to steal second base. Like, you can only replicate that so many times. But it's one that, we very well could see a lot more going forward, especially with Tapia and Daza at the top of the lineup.
Yeah, I think it's something, that you have in your bag, right? It's something that you can take advantage. It's not something you necessarily want to count on. But again, if this was a team that had a lights out bullpen and was playing, like the Kansas City Royals of the last middle of the decade, where the offense still has their struggles too, but the starting pitching and bullpen is great. Now you've got these contact guys and you're running all the time. You'll win those games out of it. Of course, it doesn't really matter with the with the state of the back end and everything. But I'm with Spence. Like, I've been shocked when they first announced that rule. That was one of the big criticisms. And I was right there along with people saying it's an easy run. I don't have to get a base hit to score a run. I do think the one big flaw that I've come to learn in your entire argument there, Spence, and I want Makayla to weigh in on this strategy as well, as I've come to learn, these guys don't know how to bunt. That's, I think, the one biggest thing is that a lot of these guys really don't. And it blows my mind, or like can't in the big situations. And maybe it's that the pitchers have gotten better at pitching away from just giving you the easy bunt. I don't know what it is, but just put it down and you'll automatically move the guy over to third seems harder for some people.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think bunting is one of those things, like it's a lost art form almost. It's just not effectively used anymore. It's like you get the sign from the third base coach or whatever to like bunt the ball, and you're just up there like, oh shit, like I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know if this is gonna be in play. Like I don't know if this is gonna go where I wanted to. Like it just seems like bunting has become like a lost art form in baseball. So for whatever reason, they really, really struggle with it. It seems simple when you are like watching baseball and you think, oh, all they have to do is literally hold the bat right there and direct the ball in a mild way of wherever they want it to go. But it's a struggle bus for sure, for whatever reason. I don't know.
I think that's
it as much.
I think that's why I like it, is because when I played high school ball, like I bunted a fair amount. Like I was hitting in the 2-hole, so I bunted a lot, and I actually successfully did a suicide squeeze in the bottom of the last inning with 2 outs. My coach gave me the sign, and I like looked at him with my eyes open. I was like, dude, you got to re-roll that. I think I saw a suicide squeeze, and I got it down, and we ended up winning the game. But it was like I loved bunting because it throws people off. If you saw, I think it was Hampson today, he was down in the count, or he was up in the count 1-0 or 1-1, and he throws a fake bunt out there, and the pitch wasn't even close. Like that messes with pitchers, and I would do that all the time. I had no intention of bunting. I also had no intention of swinging at the first pitch, but we didn't have scouting reports. It's high school, so I just put my bat out there, and that pitcher throws it wherever. I think it's something that needs to be. And not everybody's for it. Like if you hit 40 bombs, you don't, Vlad Guerrero Jr. doesn't need to bunt, but like, but like certain guys, like I think it can help their on-base percentage. Guys that have speed, when we had Willie Taveras back in the day, like that dude killed with that. And he was always on base. And and I'm not saying you need to bunt to get on, but like just have that in your arsenal. And some of these guys, maybe they should add that or consider adding that, and they can continue to be an MLB player if they can do things like that.
Well, I think the way that, hitters are going to strategically, try to place balls, especially in the age of the shift, is going to be a lot different.
Yeah.
As we keep moving forward, we're going to see a lot of changes to hitting strategies, I think, especially now that we're in the era of the shift. And I mean, you saw today how it burned the Brewers. Trevor Story got on base because no one was over by first base. And when Keston fielded the ball, he had nobody to throw it to because they shifted so dramatically to the other side of the field. So I think, kind of like how bunting has kind of started to get phased out and it's not used as much and it's like the lost art form. I think, hitting strategies are going to change a lot as well, because now that we're in this era of the shift, like a lot of things are going to be adjusted, I think, moving forward to kind of either, play against the shift or however you would strategically, would you play play against the shift? I don't know, but whatever, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is going to be changed moving forward.
If it's good enough for Shohei Ohtani, I think it should be good for most other ball players too. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I don't care what Spence says. I want to see you lay down a bunt.
Lay it down.
Can I just declare my undying and unending love for Shohei Ohtani at this moment? This is
amazing,
space, right?
He's incredible. I've never seen an athlete like that before.
No, we haven't. No one has. Anyone who's like, no, this feels like stop. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. This is new.
I think the worst part of it, though, is that 2 generational talent players are being wasted on
the Angels. And
wasted.
Yeah.
Absolutely wasted. Mike Trout's career has gone completely wasted because the Angels can't get it together, whether it's, their general manager, for whatever reason, they just haven't been able to figure it out. And Mike Trout has spent his entire career on a team that has just wasted a generational talent. And now they have Shohei Ohtani, and I don't see it getting any better. And so now they have 2 generational players on their roster, and they still can't figure it out.
So you thinking maybe Bard, Estevez, and a prospect for Trout and Ohtani? What are we thinking here?
Can you imagine?
MLB The Show type trade right there. Right?
I know, right? Approved. What?
Not to throw the poor guy under the bus, but it's easy to get wrapped up in the general manager woes in the Rockies, and that it's easy to forget that there's some teams that have also big general manager woes, and the Angels are one of them.
They have also problems,
major issues.
Indeed. And if all this stressing you out a little bit, you're feeling a little bit tense these days, I feel it. I understand you. Hop on down to our friends at Solace Meds. They have got absolutely smoking hot deals for you. Get it? Because they're one of the best dispensaries anywhere in the world. That's right. I'm throwing down the gauntlet and saying the entire world. Even though I'm more familiar with just here in Colorado. They've got 4 convenient Colorado locations, 1 in Fort Collins, 1 in Wheat Ridge, 1 off Broadway, 1 just blocks away from East Colfax on the so I didn't say that right at all. Blocks away from the DNVR bar on East Colfax from where I am right now, just down the street. You can head over, get some fantastic deals when you use promo DNVR20 at checkout. You can also order online, SOLACEmeds.com. Purchase from there. Again, DNVR20 will get you 20% off. And if you go into their Wheat Ridge location, you can get a free Solace bar or King Cone when you mention this code, the DNVR20. They will hook you up with that free Solace bar or King Cone. But if you need a little extra herb, you need some quality herb, Solace Meds has some of the absolute best you're going to find anywhere, and a lot of fantastic deals for you as well. And then once you've had your Solace Meds, and again, you're on the same street, you're probably going to be in the mood for some illegal Pete's. Like I just happen to know that these things go together. All right. You get your Solace Meds, you get your illegal Pete's. It's the perfect combination right down here on Colfax. Of course, all of you know that illegal Pete's is delicious. I'm only reminding you right now that you're in the mood for it right now. If you happen to have been to any event in the Lodo area, homestand coming up, we're about to talk about that for a brief minute. Going to any of the games, you're out to a concert, you're out to a comedy show, show them the ticket to any event. They'll hook you up with a free draft beer or house marg with purchase of an adult entree. That's because Illegal Pete's is just a fantastic member of the community. In addition to their burritos and whatever else you get, Spencer, you were the potato bowl guy, right? Like whatever.
That's me.
Yeah, go in and ask for Spencer's Potato Bowl. They'll have no idea what you're talking about, but they will plant a seed.
They will
plant a seed.
I love that they take care of their people, man. I know some people have worked at Illegal Pete's over the year. They pay great. They take care of their employees. They take care of their customers. It's always nice. So have a delicious burrito and know that they're taking care of everybody well. What's not to love about that? So as we mentioned, and our friend here, Mark, my new best friend, Mark, and I know, I'm sorry to be creepy, but I know exactly where you are, Mark. My new best friend, Mark, talking about the upcoming series here. Opening day 2.0, and what are the odds? Kyle Freeland on the hill. And what are the other odds? Tyler Anderson.
That's right.
This is the opening day the baseball gods should have gifted us at the beginning of the season.
So I say we just cut it off, and they're 0-0. Let's start counting as of tomorrow.
Forget everything that's happened, the monumental dumpster fire this team has been on the road for the past.
That's right. It's all been spring training.
It's all restarted.
This is when baseball seasons start, right? Last year led me to believe that this is when baseball season.
This is probably the time baseball season is going to start next year too. So,
if the Rockies go out and sweep the Pirates, like Spencer said, and sweep the Cardinals, like most Rockies fans would love to see happen, they will have won more games in the next week at home than they've won so far all season on the road.
Nice.
Let's go.
So that is so strange.
The Cardinals are struggling. I don't know if anyone's been noticing that.
Boy.
And the Pirates are actually worse than the Rockies.
There have been rumblings.
So there's some opportunity here. There's some serious opportunity here.
And the Rockies are so good at home.
The last start I remember watching Tyler Anderson when he was a Rocky, it was against the Cardinals. And I think he gave up 8 or 9 runs in the first inning. I've been to 2 games where the Rockies have been down by 8 before the top of the first was even over. And so let's hope for that tomorrow. Just the Rockies get home. They feel great. They come out and just blast Tyler Anderson. Freeland's great. He's yelling, Let's start it. Let's start it now. 15-game win streak, get back to 500. It's starting right now.
And I hope Ryan McMahon goes out and has a big game. He has had some hand issues that's prevented him from really kind of holding the bat. He's struggled in Milwaukee there. But I'd like to see him go out, play big on it's not a big stage, but on a stage across from Adam Frazier, who did get support from his fan base and will be in the final 3 to possibly be a starter for NL second baseman. So it would be nice for McMahon to kind of get the better of those two in the head-to-head matchup.
Do you think Ryan McMahon has a chance to be in the home run derby at all now?
Yeah, actually, if he's healthy, I think they'll put him in, honestly.
Yeah, that's kind of what I hope for. I'm definitely going to that.
If there's a Rocky who really wants to do it and is of a certain caliber, it's not like if, Dazo really wanted to be in it, sure, But yeah, I think if McMahon or Story or Blackman or even Crone, I honestly think if they really wanted to do it, they'd let in one Rocky because it's there. And
yeah, I almost wonder if I would think, again, for a more inexperienced player like Ryan McMahon who's doing well, don't want to mess up his swing. We'll see what happens in a couple weeks' time anyway, if he's still not a little bit banged up. But, does Charlie Blackman jump in and bite the bullet and go,
Charlie's going,
you know what? I'll do it. I will jump on the sword for you. I will jump on this grenade and I will go ahead. And then you might go out and win the damn thing.
Win it.
I'd love to see Trevor Story in the home run derby.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Trevor Story puts on a show in batting practice, and Nolan's not joking. He'll accidentally hit balls out the other way, So, yeah, I think he would be the best show, actually, would be Story. It's been a while since I've watched McMahon take BP.
Should we let one of the Rockies bullpen pitchers throw to them?
It's an old joke, Spence, but the way you snuck it in right there, that was
as good as Michael Givens has been. He's given up 8 this year, or no, 8 in his career. So he's been better this year than last year. So
they would probably set the record for the most home runs hit in a home run derby ever.
I don't even want to pick on him. Never mind. Love you guys. Poor Almonte.
That's a great idea.
Oh my goodness. All right. So what do you Mac, Patrick, what do you think? Spence right? They sweeping these Pirates or
7 games, right? So 4-3, you feel pretty confident, right? They're gonna go 4-3, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of like the bar. So you go, is it gonna be 5-2, or if they do sweep the Pirates, is it gonna be 6-1? That's
no, not 6-1. But I'm fine with saying that they can sweep the Pirates at home. They're just so good at home. And who are the projected starters again? Freeland,
Marquez, Gray.
Yeah. Yes. They better at that point. I think so. Yeah. Yes. Yep. They need to, and if they don't, it'll be because of the bullpen, but
Yep.
The St. Louis series will, right now as it's slated, Senzatela against Adam Wainwright on July 1st, Thursday. Chi against Johan Oviedo on Friday. Saturday, Cal Freeland again against Wade LeBlanc. And then Sunday, 4th of July, Herman Marquez against Carlos Martinez. Special note, Friday and Saturday's games is the fireworks. Because Sunday is a day game, so no fireworks on Sunday, on the actual 4th of July. I'm sure they'll have some maybe pregame, but if you do want to see fireworks, Friday and Saturday night on the 2nd and 3rd.
There you go.
Okay, so I feel maybe they could sneak 2 of the 4 from the Cardinals, so that puts them at 5-2. If I just did my math right.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
You like a 5-2 homestand?
Yeah.
That was kind of where I was at too, 4-3 or 5-2. I'd give up one of the Pirates games to get an extra Cardinals game, which I think just about anybody would, right? Like and as Patrick and I talked about also, I think there's only one other, you brought this up, 4-game set after this. The Rockies have split a couple, but they haven't won any 4-game sets on the year. So if you're going to get a 3-1 4-game series win, I want this one specifically.
I'm bummed we're not getting a Gray versus Arenado. We'll just have to take Marquez striking him out 2 or 3 times on Sunday.
I'm not getting another Austin Gomber. I want Gomber to get another shot at this. I know that he was so disappointed with how his start in St. Louis went, and I just wanted more than anything for him to start in Coors against the Cardinals and just light them up. I'm so sad. I'm so sad we're missing out on that because that is literally all I wanted because Gomber is my dude. Like, I'm a Gomber stan, and I'm so sad he's missing out on an opportunity to strike, to just golden sombrero Arenado at Corbin.
I think I know the answer to this. So I'm gonna say 5-2, and I'm shocked that I'm predicting the Rockies to go 5-2 in any capacity against any teams. But I think they've been playing better overall, and I think they can win 5 of 7. But on that Thursday, because Makayla and Spence, we'll see. We'd love to have you back again. We'll see what happens. What's the reaction that Nolan Arenado gets?
Yeah.
What is your thought? Have you had any thought about it yet?
Yeah,
great booze. I just think I think it's 2. No. I think it's 2. I think he gets booze.
No.
All right, so I think there will be some that boo him, but you're saying you will hear more boos than cheers, Spence?
100%.
Will you hear almost nothing but boos, you think?
No, I think there will be people that give him a standing O, but it's not, to me, this is, we can get down this whole road, which I don't want to take Drew down because we have a different opinion on this, the whole Carmelo Anthony. I think he left on a bad note. And so it's not that he's not a great player. It's not that he didn't give his all for the Rockies. I respect everything he gave to us. And I have his jersey hanging up right now in my closet with the nickname jersey that I'm never going to wear again. But it's just the way it all went down and all the murmurs and all that stuff. It just sucks for all of us because, this team made the playoffs 2 years in a row, which only 4 teams in each or division or whatever they call do. It's not like we were losing 100 games a year. I get being pissed off about that, and I get not wanting to win. And there's a lot more that Nolan knows than I know. I'm not dumb. I'm not numb to that fact, but just the whole way he left and oh, you went to the Cardinals, cool. You're 3 games under 500 at the same. It's not like he went to the Yankees, It's not like he went to – and then he didn't really have a choice, but they're not some good team. They're struggling. They're – it's – I don't know.
Okay,
so you got about 51% booze, 49% cheers. Makayla, you're thinking it's a lot different, right?
Yeah, because, listen, I don't think the way he left wasn't bad for Rockies. Rockies fans, all of their anger was directed at the front office when he left. Now, what happened after he left is what made Rockies fans upset. But, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, the people that go to Rockies games don't pay attention that much to baseball to know what happened. So they're just going to hear Nolan's name and they're all going to be like, whoa! And I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
In order to get a full grasp on the situation of Nolan sending videos to Waino and to show the general manager about wanting a trade there and his comment about the curtain call, you have to pay attention to baseball enough to be following the Cardinals to know that happened. And I don't bless Rockies fans, bless their hearts, but I just don't think that they paid attention that much to be that upset about it. And so I don't think that they're going to boo him because I don't even think
they don't know. No. I'm actually right in between the two of you, and I'm actually very curious to see how this plays out because I do think there's a lot of people that that know, but I think Makayla's right. Not only are there a lot of people that don't know, but our local media worked very hard to make sure that story went nowhere, whereas they will fan the flames of anything on the other side of it. Basically, the Nolan thing became literally the paper of record the next day was, this shouldn't be a thing. Nobody talk about it. Rockies fans shouldn't have any feelings about Nolan whatsoever. Move on, but let bygones be bygones. And I'm just like, interesting that that's the tactic now, instead of fanning the flames now that he's out of town. But I think you're right. I think there were a lot of people that, because it didn't get blown up into a big story and it was more just something that was known in smaller circles, because I don't think, Tim, I don't think enough time has passed for the people who were legitimately pissed. I don't think, the thing is, I don't know what Makayla is saying, and I think this is correct, is not enough people got pissed in the first place. The people who were pissed and are pissed, and the reason why Spence thinks people are going to boo, they're still pissed. They're not happy, and they're going to be there, and they're going to be booing. The question that Patrick is getting at here is, how many of those people are there?
What's the breakdown? Yeah, what's the breakdown?
And I think Makayla might be right in that there are those people. They're hardcore. And then, even how many people are going to games? Patrick, you've been on this. You've written about this year. You've tweeted about it. You've been staying on top of this story a lot better than I have, just about people coming in and out of Coors Field altogether. So if it's, a half-empty stadium, but then how of those people, how many people know? Is it more hardcore because they've chosen to go? Do they go to the game just so they can boo Nolan Arenado? I'm very curious.
I think with fireworks, I literally just bought tickets for the game Friday night, like 2 seconds ago. But I think with fireworks, I don't
get any commission for that too, by the way. I'm going to need to let people know that because of, the advertising I just did there and the fireworks, I should get a cut. But anyway.
Right.
Also, not to spoil it for you, but I do have a friend that works in ticket sales for the Rockies, and I can confirm they are anticipating a very large crowd.
It is going to be big.
Yeah.
They for the capital F fireworks, the ones that are advertised, not the ones that potentially will show up on the field with Arenado.
Yes.
But for you, Spence, like that, you're going to the game more for the fireworks, you think, than for the return of Arenado?
I just haven't been in a little while. I want to go again. I love it there. I can't. I tried to stop loving it and I can't. So I'm going to be there.
I think there's enough people that are still so mad at the front office and believe that Nolan walks on water that I think they're going to drown out the boos. Like I would put it at like 80-20, 80% cheers, maybe 20% boos. I just don't see it. I don't know. And it's not like Rockies fans are like Yankees fans, right? Like they're not assholes for the most part.
Right. They'd rather not.
They're the ones that are getting punched in the face by visiting fans.
Right.
Hey. Not just Rockies fans, Nuggets fans too.
Okay.
Not just Rockies fans.
Denver fans in general. Maybe I'll have to flip that script on Friday night.
Meds for these
I don't see Rockies fans being those types of fans, for better or for worse. And so I don't know. I don't think he's going to get many boos. That could be the eternal optimist in me, but I just feel like the tone is still so hateful towards the front office, and that's where all the attention is focused. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I'm very curious. I have to say, I think you've both made very strong points, and I don't feel like I've got a strong handle on this one. And normally I feel like I can predict how Rockies fans are going to react to something, but especially in the post-pandemic world when everything got more digital there for a minute, and this was a very digital story, I'm just curious to see how it all goes, man, because there's all that too, but then there's also just there are some people who boo the guy for leaving town no matter what. Like there's always a smattering of boos, even when there's no controversy or drama and somebody leaves, right? So like it's gonna be fun, man. Yeah, let's have you back at least to wrap that one up, if not to preview it. We'll have to get this group back together and see how it all went down. So thank you all for hanging out with us. Wrapping this up. We know it's been tough to watch the Rockies lose a bunch of baseball games, but we still have fun talking about them, talking baseball, getting ready for the home stand where they play much better baseball and should be better. So maybe we'll have some wins coming up. Spence has got 3 of them coming up for you against the Pirates, so we'll check on that.
Bang.
Love it.
If they get swept, I'm blaming Spencer.
Also good, right? You get on DraftKings Sportsbook, go place all those bets right now, one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm going to go bet Rockies in 3 right now. If there's a sweet bet, I'm in on it. 100%.
Love it. Keep hanging out with us. As I've said, we appreciate all of you. Make sure that you're subscribed to the DNVR.com. You're following everybody on social media at Drew Creasman, at Patrick D. Lyons, at Makayla E. Perkins, at Big Drive Spence. Follow at DNVR Golf as well, and of course at DNVR Rockies. Make sure that you keep being absolutely awesome baseball fans out there. We promise to keep being absolutely Patrick, Spence, Makayla, and Drew in here. And don't forget Allie behind the scenes running the show. Appreciate her as always. And until next time, we will see you at the ballpark.